Welcome to Keto Life Support, where we make your keto life sustainable, fun, and low stress. I'm Kim Howerton, and I'll be coming to you weekly with some of my keto besties to bring you the practical, real-world keto advice that you need. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and even if we do have a doctor in the house from time to time, he or she is not your doctor, and nothing we say on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always check in with a trusted medical professional about your own personal medical concerns. Hello and welcome to Keto Life Support. This is Kim Howerton with episode number 203. And today I'm talking about the boredom of the diet and also a personal update on how the fat loss phase is going. And they're related. Okay, so what's going on right now is I have to play with my brain a lot as I'm in this fat loss phase, continuing my fat loss phase with my planned desire, somewhere around 18, 20 pounds of loss. I'm just over the halfway point here, and I've reached that place where it's really boring. I'm like, oh, right, I have to do an update because I said I would do an update, but it's really boring. Not much going on here. Yes, like shopping's more fun. Trying things on is fun. Fitting back into pants that weren't fitting so well is fun. But like the day to day, it's boring. So I'm struggling to find content. People that do like full-time YouTube channels with their weight loss journey, I understand why they have to keep falling off their diet to create more content for you. Because unless you're constantly falling off and getting back on and falling off and failing and back, drama, it's boring. Because you can't, from one day to 1 week, 2 weeks, I don't know, can't really tell any difference. There's not, especially when you're losing the last bit of weight. You know, when you're first starting on a weight loss journey, if you have 100 or more pounds to lose, it kind of feels like you're galloping. You're going and it's happening and amazing things are changing and your health is getting better. And oh my gosh, all these wonderful things are happening. And it keeps you interested in it as a concept. But when you're like, I'm already metabolically healthy, I'm pretty good, things are good, it's an aesthetic thing, I'd like to do a little different. You have to constantly work with your brain, because if you, like me, are a bit of an addict who loves that dopamine hit, which is kind of all of us, everybody loves dopamine, you're not getting so much of it these days because there's not that constant like planning, executing, results, cycle. I mean, technically they're there, but it's very hard for me to get it together to throw a party and buy some balloons for the 1/4 pound I lost last week. And that's a personal failing, I am sure. If I could celebrate every single moment, I would be a much more zen and evolved human being. But just being a real person is boring right now. And so I thought I would just talk about that as a reality, because it's going to be a reality for you if it isn't already a reality for you. And earlier, when I was joking about the YouTubers who constantly have to fall off the wagon to find some entertainment for their audience, that is actually a risk for a lot of people, right? And by a lot of people, I think I mean almost all people. That place where you get a little bit jaded, you get a little bit bored. People stop giving you constant compliments. You're not getting constant feedback. You look about the same as you did yesterday. Your clothes fit about the same from day to day. Your food, really about the same. You're just rinse and repeat day in, day out. And many of us who have spent our life tied up in knots over our weight trade that in for being constantly vigilant and getting that hit of joy from the losing of the weight. And now, as you settle into a very slow pattern of just sort of maintaining, maybe dropping a little, maintaining, maybe dropping a little, very minor changes, the external motivation, like the motivation of how people see you, how you look in the mirror, what size clothes you can wear, if it's changing so slowly that you can forget it's happening. It is like watching paint dry. It is not a thing. Now, yes, if you back up your camera and look at things over the month instead of the week, over the 3 months instead of the 1 month, right? Then you're going to be like, oh, yeah, lots happening there. And you should never underestimate the power of small changes to get you where you want to go, for sure. But it's not exciting. It's not very exciting at all. It's very boring. And so I'm not trying to be discouraging in any way, shape, or form. There's no other way to go about it. You have to be okay with being bored occasionally with this situation because you know what was exciting? Being a food addict. Being a food addict and always thinking about food and being obsessed with food and going from place to place like I was on some sort of Easter egg hunt for yummy things. That was actually, the repercussions weren't fun, but that was fun. I'm not going to lie to you. Eating was fun. Very little about my life other than eating was fun. Actually, most of it just sucked so hard, but the eating part was fun. And now the rest is fun. And the eating part is still kind of fun, but it's not like entertainment anymore. It's like, oh, this is enjoyable. Oh, that's kind of nice, right? It's not like an adventure story. The fact that I've eaten the same thing for breakfast, well, the same probably like 2 to 3 things for breakfast for the last 4+ months. Like, there's not a lot of, ooh, what shall it be today? It's not like an adventure story. I'm not looking at menus online to decide, well, should I go here for lunch or there for lunch? Do I want this or do I want that? No, I kind of know what I'm going to have because I know what works. And so it's boring. Now, what's the trade-off for that boredom? Well, I like the way I look in clothes better. I feel better. My thighs don't stick together so badly when I'm walking around. I'm not as uncomfortable because I get uncomfortable in a body that feels like when my pants dig into my waist and I'm like this, it's physically not comfy for me. And, yes, I can adjust my clothing choices, but also it would be nice to wear a pair of pants that aren't elastic sometimes. And so the rest of my life is so much better. And so that's kind of the trade-off that I have lost a bit of the fun and gained a lot of the fun in other departments. So boring. Yes, it's the best word I can come up with. Not very exciting is what it is. That's more than one word, but it means boring. And that's okay. But if I don't remind myself that it's okay, if I don't think of other things to distract me, like in those moments when I'm like procrastinating, like I want to procrastinate right now. I'll go get a snack. No, I need something else to do that is a waste of my time, right? I need to replace the food bad habits with other bad habits, I'm just kidding. But, sometimes I go for a walk. Sometimes I get a tea. I mean, that's still kind of foodish, but it's not negatively impactful. Sometimes I watch a docu-series. Sometimes I play a game. Wordle. I'm bored of Wordle too. Who else is bored of Wordle? But I can't stop doing it, but I'm bored. It's like at the beginning, sorry, this is a total tangent, but when I first started doing Wordles, it was like a constant joy because either it was challenging and that made me happy because I like being challenged, or it was super easy. And then I could pat myself on the back and think, oh, I'm good at that. I'm smarter than I thought I was today. And then now it's been a couple of months and I'm like, when they're easy, I'm like, that was too easy. Now I'm pissed that it was easy. And then when it's too hard, I'm like, this is too hard. I don't like anyone. This may or may not be related to the fact that I'm in a cut and everything is a little more irritating. But anyway, back to the like too long, don't read here. Yep, lost, well, I guess about 11 pounds at this point. Would like to see 20. Don't have an exact time frame. I'm going to make that happen. I might go back up to maintenance for periods of time along the way as that seems appropriate. But as long as my rate of loss is going well and I'm feeling good, I'm good about it. I'm not overcome by wanting to stop at this time, then that's good for me. I am gymming 2 days a week, walking most days unless it is raining all day, in which case, no. And if I lived in a rainy state, as I said before, I would change that and go somewhere I could walk, but it's not so often here. It's fine. Then food choices, like I said, just a few, really. I do similar things all week. This week, breakfast has been yogurt and cottage cheese with fruit, usually berries. Lunch has been a little bit of fruit with maybe a salad with meat, or sometimes it's just meat and some fruit. And then for dinner, I've been doing sort of either I don't remember what I shared last week, so I don't want to bore you, but it's been very much a rotation of either steak with a side of veg, or it's been, well, my boyfriend and I do the Chipotle bowls, which are for me, cauliflower rice, chicken or beef, salsa, a little bit of guacamole, and some Greek yogurt and some, I said salsa, and then maybe some other veggies thrown in there if I feel like it, or if I don't feel like it, I don't. Cauliflower rice is kind of a base to bulk it up. Or what we've had the past couple of days is we use some Alfredo sauce. And I found some Rayo's Alfredo sauce with little bacons in it. It's low carb. You know, if you put a ton of it on your stuff, it'll calories will certainly add up, but you don't use that much. It's very flavorful. So I put some of that with this week we're doing just loose ground meat, and I've got some skinny noodles, which is basically like a konjac noodle, and I threw a few green peas in there because I love that in that mix. Obviously, if you're trying to be keto rather than just low carb, you might not do the peas. They can add up a bit, but it's just like a sprinkling of them. It's not very many. And I might not do fruit at lunch, but otherwise, I don't think my choices would be all that different if I were keto at this point. That is basically what I'm eating. It's been too cold for a creamy, thinking of bringing that back, missing the creamy dessert. Sometimes I'll have at night some like flavored yogurt, which I flavor myself as a dessert, but not every night. And that's the food, that's the working out, that's the weight loss, that's the update. And hopefully that gives some people a little bit of just real life example of what's happening on my journey. I hope you're well. And if you're bored, maybe good. Maybe find other things to entertain you that aren't food or, being obsessed with your weight anymore. All right, take care, guys. I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Keto Life Support. Want more information? Want show notes? Want to suggest a topic? Just head over to ketolifesupport.com. That's where all that kind of thing can go on. By the way, I have a request. If you could go to your podcast host and hit subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And what would be even more awesome is if you could write a review. And what would be even more awesome than that is if you could write like a really flattering review. Just asking, you do you. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm thrilled that you're part of the Keto fam. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.